Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. We're smashing out the subs at the moment, and I'm enjoying making the content. We've got loads of draft, loads of trade. We've got some world's first as well happening live in the lead up to the trade and the draft period. We did a few exciting things, but we've got some really engaging things coming up, particularly for the trade with some special guests. It's going to be cool. We're going to bring back the draft profiles and everything. So that's going to be super cool. We've got the Carlton versus Eagles game, the preview. So let's get straight into it. And the Blues go into this one with a much changed side. Adam Chera and Cripps arrested for this one. Corky and a tightness to make way. Mackay is out for 6 weeks. He has got surgery on his knee. He will be back for finals. And Jordan Boyd, obviously, missing 3 weeks because the AFL just evidently don't like a tackle. Eagles themselves missing Jeremy McGovern and superstar draftee Ruben Gingby. But Petrelli comes in. The return for the Blues of Ollie Hollands, Lockie Cowan, and Ed Kerner in a much changed side, but two polar ends of the table, we have to say. Carlton at 10th, just on the skirt of the 8. Rock bottom, though, for the Eagles. And the Eagles' times are hard. 5 losses, their recent form. And they've been big losses, barring the 38 point to Richmond, who weren't really flying. Very disappointed Richmond will be with that. They have been peppered. The 205 versus 34 for Sydney just sells it. Whenever they've travelled this year, they've got thumps, and they're travelling again. The Blues, since that Essendon game, they have been on fire with 4 50-point wins straight away, executing short, sharp ball movement and looking quite tasty in the piece. Let's look at the teams then. And we start off with the West Coast Eagles, who themselves have been, let's be honest, struggled this year. And let's look at their numbers. They're a side that kicks 56.4% of the time, which is probably a surprise to most because obviously in the glory days of the Eagles, they were a very heavy kick side, which shows just the turnaround of personnel and the quality. And it kind of tells the picture that they are the second least kicking side in the comp behind Hawthorn. Their disposal efficiency still pretty good, 73.6, but you've got to also take into account that these are a lot of short territory kicks. They are still one of the top ranked sides for disposal efficiency. The 42.5 inside 50s, and as you would expect, this has them the worst in the AFL. And their rebound 50 ratio is 67.9, the worst in the AFL, with their meters gained just being a paltry 15 meters per disposal, which has them worst in the AFL. Contested differential and clearance differential, absolutely mammoth negative figures. These are very low, and their mark inside 50 rate is just going at under 20%. 61.8 tackles, though. It's what you would expect when you're not getting the ball and you're being peppered. And the chance creation, only 40% of their inside 50s becomes a shot at goal or a scoring shot. And times are hard for the Eagles. They are probably the most unluckiest club in the AFL. Injuries galore. They look disjointed. And they are the number one for unforced pressure acts in the AFL. Unforced mistakes, due to and that there is a key ingredient. If you put the pressure on them, they fall. They're devoid of confidence. They are in a world of hurt. And it's sad to see. It's got to be. Some people saying the worst AFL side ever. I see a lot of 2018 Carlton about the Eagles. It's tough. You've got to take your medicine. You've got to do it. This game is unwinnable. And that's no disrespect to the West Coast Eagles. I would never disrespect a football club. But I always look at it this way. If the shoe was on the other foot because Chera and Cripps are out, would I be going, we're a chance here? Would I? Absolutely not. I mean, I would definitely not. Because okay, there is no Harry, there is no Cripps, there is no Chera, but there is still some danger there. There's still Sam Doherty, Sam Walsh, George Hewitt, Charlie Curnow, Jacob Wheater, Mitch McGovern. That there is still some all-stars all around them lines, and Carlton should be too much and too good. It's more of a matter of how big, not what if. So for the Eagles, it's clear. Much respect to them. They're a wonderfully run football club who are having hard times. What they'll do with pick one is another conversation. Will they trade it? I think they will. I think you can turn that into players like Curtin and maybe McCulture and players like that. You could really go crazy if you wanted to. There is some wonderful WA players in the draft as well. Edwards and stuff like that. Do they take a punt and Dick Fremantle? A lot to play out for the Eagles. But for Eagles here, it's basically just tiding it over to the end of the year. And the numbers don't lie and your eyes don't lie at times. When they both correlate, we can have debates about it. But for the Blues, let's look at them. They have been incredibly impressive. And these numbers are even more impressive if you just look at the 4 weeks. But these are starting to get into the AFL average and beyond now. Carlton have started to slow down their kicking percentage. It's starting to encroach down. Carlton only kicking 58.5% of the time. Where they were up in the 60s earlier in the year when we did this, they are now more with the Melbournes, the Doggies, the Collingwoods, tied incidentally with the Collingwoods of this world, trying to play a lot more progressive, short, sharp. Now, the kicking, the disposal efficiency, starting to become real. That has actually gone down in recent weeks, to be fair. However, the meters gained has gone up considerably. So Carlton is starting to kick forward, which is a huge thing. 52.7 inside 50s per game, and that puts Carlton in the AFL average norm. They're starting to really generate them score opportunities. That is a huge bonus for the Blues. Their contested possession differential, as always, is sky high. And Carlton are really getting a monopoly on that, and we'll be looking to have a monopoly on that this week. We look there at the clearance differential. Carlton is starting to get that. That was negative, if you remember, when we were doing these a couple of weeks ago. Starting to get it up. The marks inside 50 rate, 23.3%. Very impressive for the Blues, that. That is in the top half of the table, and it's getting higher and higher and higher as they get there. The tackles, 60.1. Could be doing better, but not so bad when you take into account Carlton's tackles versus the amount of ball that they've had this year. It is kind of a flawed stat, but Carlton are starting to get into them Geelong, Melbourne territories now of tackling. Massive improvement for them. And the chance creation is the bugbear because the scoring efficiency has killed the Blues. We know that Carlton's efficiency has been really low in the recent months. Starting to get higher because of their conversion and also their chance creation. And that's a high echelon there. And when you're playing a side here that is struggling, to be honest, is struggling in its low rankings. It's last for points scored. Do you know what I mean? It's nearly last for clearances. It's third last for clearances. It's hemorrhaging rebound 50s against. Carlton will be looking at this here and thinking that last week was probably a good dress rehearsal for this because the pressure that they brought around the ball, particularly in the back half of the ground, for a side like the Eagles, which credit to them, they still play that Hail Mary football out the back half. Carlton can punish them. And this is going to be a game where Carlton will be looking and going, we've got this. We've got this. And that's what they'll be doing. They'll be looking to spread the play. They'll be looking to take the game on. They'll be looking to run in numbers, put pressure around the ball, cause a lot of indecision, and ultimately come back to Icon with 4 points, with the big game next week, having rested 2 superstars. Let's look at it head-to-head. So the defence versus the forwards. This is from a Carlton perspective. Carlton's defence versus Eagles forwards. Carlton win. And it's a long way as well. It's a long way. It's a long swing. You're talking 12%. Carlton should be looking at this and thinking, yeah, this is easy. You've got the best defence versus the worst forward line in the competition. Carlton will be looking at it. Even with the outs, Carlton's midfield has the advantage. And that is a very interesting thing, I think. When you've got Hewitt there and you've got Walsh there, you're in with a chance. You're in with a chance. Ed Kerner doesn't excite many people, but this is probably why he is on the list, to be fair, in times like this. But then you've also got some fantastic, terrific players to come in and play in there. I am very excited about seeing Ollie Hollands, Sam Doherty go on the ball, but I'm very excited about seeing this Hollands-Akers matchup on the wing. I think it's an incredible, good strength. We know Gaff, Cheshire and Hunt rotate on that wing for them, and I think that's a great test for them. Forwards, Carlton's forwards versus them. Even now, you've got Tom Barras, who is sensational, but outside of that, from a defensive standpoint, Brady Hu, Tom Cole, Carlton have the monopoly here, even with Witherden, who is a little bit of a fantasy player, not a reality player. And Carlton will be looking to exploit that. Clearance and stoppage, clear dominance, as the numbers show, and also by the eye. Carlton should be looking to control this game at the source, with Jacob Wheatering expected to line them up as he is there with Luke Shuey. And Wheatering should come off after celebrating his win, milestone win. He should be celebrating as a captain in this time with a 59-point win is what TPI is churning out. A real exciting game, though, and one game that this season has shown that if you don't pay respect, you can lose. And people have mentioned the Port game and their win streak and Carlton dicking them, and as a well-known, it's a little bit different travelling to Melbourne against a side that is in form versus entertaining a side not in form at your home. Big difference. And we should be beyond this. And I am without a doubt beyond that Carlton will let us down. Carlton will come out. They'll be professional. They will show the opposition respect, but they'll hurt them on the scoreboard. And for me, that's the biggest respect you can do. Play till the end. Don't want to see anyone go cozy. I expect Carlton to get a very good percentage boost. And I'll be disappointed if it's not 10 goals, to be honest, because I think the list that is out there is good enough to punish them. And, you know, good luck to the Eagles for the rest of the year, because I have a lot of respect for the Eagles. And I hope that they're not in this crux for long. It's sad to see them, but this is a soulless club versus a club that's found its soul. Carlton by 60. Let me know your predictions. I will be live for this tomorrow at Arvo. Can't wait to entertain you all. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, please. It helps the channel out. Give it a share as well if you enjoy this video. Leave me a message to say you've enjoyed it. Peace.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.